Hi everyone, welcome to today's lectures. Is on Autoencoder. So today's lectures outline is going to be a little flip. I'm going to first go over stories, and then I guess to show you some application examples where the concept is used. Then finally, I'm going to go over the main algorithm. Okay, so actually the main takeaway from this lecture actually the stories I'm going to tell you. So here's Triet in a parallel universe, right? uh, this is where A, right? And Triet has a family over here. There's his wife and kid, and Triet has to feed his family, or else they're gonna starve and die, right? Now, Triet go to work, and he's given an impossible task. Now, I kind of Triet kind of need to solve this task, right? Or else he's gonna get fired, and then his family gonna starve to death without money. But then again, the task is impossible to solve. So how does that work out, right? So Triet go home and Triet cry, but then he had to solve it anyway at the end of the day. So think up a way. The task is impossible to solve in word A, but there might exist a word B right here that the task is possible to solve. So what we're going to do is we're going to send the task from word A to word B. Now the task is going to become possible, and then we're going to solve it, right? Once we solve the task, we can't really submit it because, well, the boss is in word A, right? So you can't really submit the task in word B. It doesn't make any sense. It's not comprehensible. So what we do is we're going to send it back. We decode it back to word A. And now the task is solved in word A. And then everyone is happy, right? Triet submitted to the boss, he gives Triet money, and he can feed his family. Okay. So the concept here of an autoencoder have two things. You have an encoder and you have a decoder. The encoder can encode the problem, right, to another dimensional space. And then the decoder will decode that problem back to the original space. Okay. And the star right here too. So this is the takeaway of this lecture slides. Right? So that's the stories. That's the whole idea of an autoencoder, just encoder and decoder, just sending things through dimensional space. Right? Now, so I'm going to show you some application examples of this concept of encoder-decoder concept. So one of them is data transfer through a noisy channel. So imagine this is an aircraft information system, by the way. So you transferring data from the aircraft to ATC to ground, back and forth, right? And the channel between them is kind of noisy. Sometimes the bit flip, right? So if the light from the sun is too much, then sometimes one a bit flip, one or two flip. So once it go through the channel, you transfer the data, it's gonna get very noisy. So what we do, as one of the solution, is we have an encoder of the input. So the input is this pictures, right? And then the encoder is gonna make 3 copy of it. So 3 copy of the original input. And then we send it through the noisy channel, which we have 3 copy, right? But they are noisy. And then we're gonna do a vote. So for every pixel in this section, we compare all 3. And if 2 of them, we're gonna pick the majority vote. And then we get the less noisy pictures, right? So the encoder encode the original dimension to 3 times the original dimension, right? And then you run through the noisy channel, and then the decoder decode the 3 times the original dimension back to the original dimension, right? So here you can see the middle is higher dimension. Or you also have communication by Morse code, right? So back in the day, you transfer data is kind of hard. It's hard to transfer text, but it's easy to transfer signal. So what we do is we transfer signal away. So you have a Morse code, you have the message you want to send in text, you encode it into Morse code, which is basically just take the signals long and short, and then you transferred it through the city, right? One city to another, and then you decode it, the Morse code back to the original message. Okay, there's an encoder and decoder. Or here as well. This is a seminar I attended. This is Thursday, 20. This is October 23rd. This is last year, 2025, 3 p.m. And then they do a data-driven constitution relation, multi-scale modeling, and experimental inference. It's a pretty complicated topic, and it's multi-scale. So it's from very big scale to like molecule level, atom level, right? And one of the way they do it is they use an autoencoder. So they perform some kind of analysis or work on a big scale object, and then after they applied it, they can't really tell if it does anything to the problem. So what they do is they map it to the latent space in autoencoder. They map it to latent space and decode it back. So they have the representation of a complicated system in a simple 2D pictures, and then they do it once, right? They encode it once before they apply the method, and another time after they apply the method. Then they can compare the results, and they're gonna tell, oh yeah, in latent space, they change. Right? And then another example, this is a multi-agent paper. So they use different AI agents to design a car. One of the agent steps is the step from the styling agent. So this is in 2 dimension, just on the photo, to the cat agent, which is a 3D model. How do you go from 2D to 3D, right? So if you have a small car, you get a small car over here. If you get a long car, you get a long car over here. But you have a middle, you're supposed to get the middle, but it's hard to do it computationally. This is logically makes sense, but in computer it's very hard. So what we can do is we can map that through an autoencoder. And as a mapping, you basically interpolate in the latent space, and you're gonna get this. Okay. Another example is in the YANS model. This is the generative model that can generate very realistic data from the competitive. This is a game theory, but it's basically a compete between the two AI model. And if you look at this, the generator is a neural networks that have the architecture that it is very similar to the decoder in an autoencoder, and then the discriminator this is very similar to the encoder in an autoencoder. Okay, so that's some example. You see that this concept of encoding and outcoding is used in a lot of places. And now we're going to go over the main algorithm. So an autoencoder is you have the encoder, right? This section, you encode the data to the latent space, and then you have the decoder, which decode the latent space back to the original data. In this case, the input are equal to the output. So the reconstructed data is the same, or we try to make it the same as the input data. And then the data in between, this is called the bottleneck or latent space, which is also the most important thing in autoencoder in the context of neural networks. But if you look at this is basically just a neural networks with manipulation in the architecture, right? So you have the input layer, and then the next hidden layer, you decrease the dimension, right? And then the next hidden layer, you decrease the dimension until you get into the latent space. And then in the decoder, you're going to increase the dimension in the hidden layer all the way to the output layer, right? And some properties of autoencoder. This is unsupervised learning. So what that means is you don't need a label for the data, right? No label needed. You basically have the data, a representation of the data in the latent space. And the latent space representation, it tries to capture the same information, the same data in a lower dimension, right? So this is an example. We have this concept too in calculus, is reparameterization, which is this spiral thing. You can represent this with three variable x, y, and z, or you can also just represent it as t, right? So cosine t, sine t, and t. And so you reduce the dimension, but you still capture the important information of the data. Okay, so here's an example of the latent space. Here they capture some photos of some object, and then they put it into the latent space, right? And is a very big topic in its own, latent space, which also the next lecture is going to be on variational autoencoder, which is a manipulation of a latent space. But the main idea is, right, you can have any object, you can convert anything, comprehensible or incomprehensible or semi-comprehensible, right? It's comprehensible in some way, but not the other way, to something, to the latent space, which is something that is somewhat understandable. We can see trend in latent space, right? There are a lot of things we can do with latent space, which you'll see in the next lecture, but yeah. Okay. And that's the end of this lectures on autoencoder. Thank you for listening.